Welcome back to the Dungeon Master's Block, the place where we come to talk about the Dungeon Master, the most important person in the game. With every conversation, we hope to inspire as many as possible to keep on Dungeon Mastering.
And I'm one of your hosts, DM Neal, aka Joke Maniac. And today, I'm going to be talking to Jess Parks, the DM for I Seduce the Dragon, and a Hollywood sound professional who has credits such as Karate Kid Legends, Venom Let There Be Carnage, and Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, some little things you might have seen before, listened to before. But today we're going to be talking about finding your DM voice. I really thought about doing the little thing where you put the parentheses with the S in the middle, because one of the other aspects is also talking about voices. So it's a good discussion back and forth where breaking down a newer DM and how they're finding their voice, and a longtime DM breaking down the continued joy of finding their voice. And of course, if you're in Dayton, Ohio this very weekend and you're listening to the dulcet tones of my voice, you could hear them in real life, try and match them up, see how much post-production editing I do on myself. And both Derek and I will be at a Catacon all weekend. So if you see us, come find us. Say something. Say hi. Love to chat about whatever you got going on in your home campaigns and anything TTRPG related. But with that out of the way, let's head to the meat.
I'm starving. We ain't had nothing but maggoty bread for 3 stinking days.
Why can't we have some meat?
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
So today for the meat, we have another very amazing guest. Today we have Jess Parks, who is a Hollywood sound professional. I am sure we will hear more about that. And first-time DM who brings her cinematic sensibilities to the story and sound of the podcast, I Seduce the Dragon. Jess, thanks for coming on.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I am very excited. But before that, as you well know, because you are, I believe, somewhat of an avid listener to this podcast, we have to start with, can you tell us a little bit about yourself that you think our listeners would be interested in?
About myself. Well, as you mentioned, I am a professional sound mixer. I most recently mixed Karate Kid Legends. And I've been in the film industry for about 15 years in other different roles. I started my podcast like 2 years ago. So we have a couple of nice, short, sweet seasons of D&D actual play. The first season is like 12 episodes, and the second season is probably going to end around 25 or 26. Very, very digestible, which is how I like to make our show. Yes.
The sound quality is top-notch. We talked off air about how there are varying degrees of sound quality, and yours is, like I said, at the top.
It's nice to meet a fellow appreciator of good audio.
Yes. So, is there anything that you're currently working on, and unfortunately, due to NDAs, that you can tell us about?
Well, besides my own podcast, I Seduce the Dragon, which is my love and my passion, I am producing a short film with, it's starring Beth May from Dungeons and Daddies, for any of your listeners who appreciate that show. So I'm working on that right now. Yesterday I did a little record with Cinema Therapy, but I think that's going to be a Patreon behind the paywall thing. You know, I just try to stay busy, and I'm doing that.
Yeah. It's the way of the TTRPG. There's always the next thing. I mean,
yeah,
we'll see. You and I talked about a thing, and I hope the thing happens, but we can't talk about that thing.
You're right.
It's too soon.
Soon.
If the thing happens, then we'll talk about the thing.
Yeah. There'll be more of me.
This is great. Listeners love what's happening.
They're good. Now. It's so good. Yes. Very excited. We might do something together. It would be great.
So this leads us to our surprise question, which is a surprise essentially for both of us.
Okay.
But there is a specific question that we've gotten from our patrons before. And I think it's a good question because of the title of your podcast. If you were a dragon, personally, what would you hoard?
I think I would hoard shoes. Beautiful, expensive shoes.
Okay.
I love shoes. I already hoard shoes. So really, I'm just revealing to you what I actually... Fun fact about me, even though D&D is a very trinket-forward hobby, I don't like collecting things. I am the opposite of a treasure goblin. I will throw away things that I actually probably still need just because I don't like clutter. So I hoarding, like things that I would hoard as a dragon, is a little tough for me to connect with. But when I think about the things that I actually hoard, it's beautiful clothing, beautiful shoes. I do love those things. I didn't have them as a kid, so now I can't resist.
I like it. I'm trying to think of what my answers have been previously, but I guess that's not the answer. What would my answer be right now is what it would be. Oh, that's tough. I know what I've been hoarding, and I know what I looked into as to the value of my own personal hoard. Because what I did while the kids were like getting into Pokemon is that I would buy two always. So I would buy one for us to open it, and I would buy one that I would just shove into the closet. That was a good choice.
Yes, it was.
I'll just leave it at that.
You don't need to.
Stellar choice on my part. I had kind of forgotten how much I had done that. And then a friend told me that there's an app that you can just kind of put everything into, and it almost tracks it like a stock. It was a good choice.
Yes, it is. My husband he deals in comics and cards. I don't know if any of your listeners would know Big Clutch, but he's on Whatnot and he does auctions every week. He's actually streaming right now. But he has transformed his 30-year-old magic card collection, comic book collection, things that he acquired while he was working at Skybound for The Walking Dead. And I'm floored by how much that stuff is worth now. It's wild.
It's wild. It crosses every genre. I don't know. We can make GameStop stock shoot to the moon. So
I did not get on top of that. I did not get in there. I did get an AMC though.
Oh, nice. I got them both.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So there's no easy way to move forward with this, but listeners, you would have heard in the intro, we're going to be talking about finding your DM voice, which is going to be a fun conversation because you have someone who this is going to be fun for me because I can't tell you what I would think mine is. Maybe by the end of this conversation, we'll know. And you being newer to DMing, I feel like this is immediately going to be the fact that you're always finding it. Us being longer in the tooth, one of the first questions we always ask about topics now is like, what drew you to bringing this topic up as something to discuss?
Oh, interesting. This topic is actually one of the main things that got me interested in DMing at all. That's not to say that I was really good at it when I started, but I started as a player and my game was really thrilling and exciting, but I did crave that more theatrical experience. And my DM is wonderful, but he doesn't do voices. And there's just a part of me that thought, what would I be like if I DM'd the kind of game that I would like to be a part of? So that's how I started. For me, playing D&D and DMing it all has been forming around this desire to strengthen my vocal storytelling and to share that with my friends and with other people. So it's actually pretty central to my whole deal, even though I am constantly growing and learning.
If Dungeons and Dragons has taught me anything, I live my life by the idea that if anyone is 100% sure about something, I won't trust it. Because I have learned that when you least expect it or want it, that 1 or that 20 will definitely show up.
Likewise.
So the best I'll give you, if you're past 95%, I'm out. I will not. I'm done. That's my threshold. Any more than 95%. But the same thing is true. Like the other is like, there's always a chance you could do it. The flip side, like if you don't believe at least a little bit that something can be done, like I hold both to be true, and it's my time as a DM and just playing D&D that literally has proved to me that no matter what, there's always a chance of something. I've already kind of maybe figured out what my voice is, but I don't want to jump ahead too much.
Okay.
What I'm trying to think of a lot of questions. This brings up so much because I feel like a lot of listeners are going to be going through a lot of the process that you went through recently, as well as are going through now. and probably the rest of the listeners are going to be going through what I'm going through. So I'm really trying to like hone in on like some of the best questions.
Okay.
Like what were your biggest takeaways about your finding your voice after the first session you ran?
Okay. So after the first session I ran, you're kind of in a panic about everything. I definitely experienced that imposter syndrome, that feeling that I wasn't good at it. I think I wished that I had a more authoritative, grounded presence in the game. I felt sort of like I was flapping in the wind at the whims of what was happening, and it was really important to me to respond quickly. And, it felt very frenetic after my first game. And I was still really proud of it. I still was glad everyone had a great time, including me. Although I do sometimes remain guilty of the thing where you finish a game and you're just like, oh, that was so bad. And then later I have the benefit, because I do now record and edit my podcast. I get to listen back to it and think that was actually really fun. You were just really focused in on this one thing at the time. But now that you can step back a bit, it's not bad at all. What are you talking about?
And if it was, you could just edit that part out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's the beauty of post-production. So yeah, that I would say would be my experience after my first game.
I don't have
Do you remember?
Yeah. I mean, so one of the best things about that question is that because Derek had a podcast previously to joining Dungeon Master's Block called How Not to DM. And the focus was literally learning from your mistakes. And one of the things that he asked is about the first time that you ran something. And in asking that question, I took some time. I realized what it was, and I went and found it and bought it. So it was like this really weird, like not even just like a starter set, but like this pre-built thing for third edition. And so I remember running that for a couple of my friends, and it just being like almost nothing. It was so bad. It was like it was a board game. So like we had a good time, but it just the complete and utter lack of understanding of what was happening was probably the most prominent thing I took away. But at the same time, it was this realization of like, no, this is really fun. But the ability to kind of control things in the way of like, okay, I have all of these tools and levers to ensure that like we're all telling this story together. And from that point on, I've been the forever DM for a table since then. So it worked out.
Yeah.
I will say some of those same things that you feel are things that I still feel now.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because there's still people that I trust, and still people that I care about, and still people that I want to ensure have a good time. So those are still not fears. That's not true, but those are still things that I want to happen. So like, I still want everyone to have a good time. So those are still things that come up for me.
I would hope so. I would hope the minute you don't want everyone to have a good time, you hang up your hat.
No, but exactly. But that's why those things are still there, is like, okay, did I do well enough? Did I, I don't know that I have the imposter syndrome. I do in different settings, not at my home table. But if you get me, I mean, the cruise, that's tough. I can still have it there. But like, no, not at my home table.
Yeah.
But I still do think afterwards, like, was that good? Like, was that a good session? Like, I could have done this differently, or like, oh, I forgot to do this with this monster, or, oh, like these things, or I dropped the ball here with this character, or, but that's just the nature of it. Like, you're juggling so many things on that side of the screen.
Yeah.
It's not really about dropping it. It's really about like making sure that like, does it go away forever? And like, that's the most important thing. If I don't recognize it, like, that's where I think I start to have real issues, is if it's like I missed something and don't recognize it.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I wrote down, I think is truly absurd. I'm going to say it, and then we'll just see how we feel about it.
Cool.
So how can we find our DM voice?
That's such a good question. So actually, I have some thoughts, but then I'm going to flip it on you. I was thinking about this topic, And I sort of feel like there's sort of a away from the table things you can do and at the table things you can do. So I'm just going to talk about the away from the table things because I know that you end this show usually with like actionable things, and I might talk about at the table then. But in terms of finding your voice away from the table, the first part of it is finding it for yourself. And the way that helped me approach that was a few things. One thing that I did early on was really try to explore the range of my voice. And by that, I mean, when we're interacting in our daily life and we're just talking to people at work and talking on the phone, you're using actually kind of a limited and often somewhat pinched version of your voice. You're just kind of talking. And that's great. But I don't love listening to that. After having listened to a lot of actual plays, after playing in my own game, I felt like I wanted to find something richer just within my own body. So I started playing with the range and going higher and going lower and going deeper and how, like, where can my voice even go? Where do I like it to sound? What makes it sound good to me? What makes it sound pleasant to me? And so I did a lot of just recording notes on my phone, like reading passages of books or something like that to figure out, do I like how this sounds? Does this draw me in? Is this pleasant? And then once I sort of figured out where I wanted that to go, then there comes the idea that, yes, you're the DM. Yes, you're playing the world. You are the voice of the world. So everything that happens, if your life had a voice narrating what you did, it wouldn't say what's happening as if reading from a book. It might be cold and callous sometimes. It might be happy. It might be sad. It might be vengeful. But the world that I inhabit and have created has a spirit, and it is me. And so I try to, when I'm narrating what's happening, I try to give it voice as if, when I say, you're walking into the bar, I feel it a little bit more. I try to give it something. I try to give it a character of whatever that scene is. This isn't like 100% of the time. Sometimes you're just narrating. But generally speaking, if you play Baldur's Gate, the narrator there does a very good job of imbuing, for instance, if you find something, they might say, you find this item, you turn it over, it feels warm, right? Like you are expressing that that's strange without having to say, you flip it over and it's oddly warm. I mean, which is also perfectly serviceable. But when it comes to how I like to DM, I try to make all the descriptions, even when they're simple, drive a little bit towards something because it's got the voice of the world inside of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the difference between Siri and an actual inner monologue. So one of the so when I have my headphones in, which all the time, Siri will read me my text messages, which absolutely hilarious.
Hilarious.
Oh, get out of here. Now she's talking to me. Hold on. I get it. I don't have new messages. So that's fun.
What a faithful friend, Siri.
Yes. But the idea that like that version and also just words that are not then familiar to her and the way that they are then said and just that rote, just that versus an actual inner monologue. And I think that's that's kind of what you're driving at, is that there is no emotion. There's no dynamics. There's no push or pull. There's nothing. It's just, it is what it is. The other thing I think is, and this will pull directly from my own childhood, is I did not recognize it until I was much older, probably too old to recognize. One of my favorite movies as a kid was Milo and Otis.
Same. So sad.
It's just a guy reading the book.
That's such a good example.
The whole movie is just a guy doing an audiobook reading. an unabridged audiobook, and then someone
doing voices.
Yeah, doing all of the voices. And then someone was like, we could just go film some cats and dogs, and then it's a movie. Great idea. Signed.
Yes.
Do it.
Yeah.
But I, as a child, I did not recognize that was one man.
Yeah.
I was so engrossed in the movie that I did not realize until I was older that it was just a guy reading the book.
That's cute. That's sweet. I like that. But yes.
But that's the same concept. And so like that would be one thing I would think of is like if there's a book series, if there's a book in general or a genre. I mean, we're dipping a little bit into homework, but a lot of this might be homework in general. But like if there's a book that you really like, go listen to the audiobook version of it, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be just one person reading it. Occasionally you'll have more, but most of the time it's just going to be one person reading all of it, adding in bits and pieces here and doing all of the characters. So
my girls have got me reading Dungeon Crawler Carl right now, and the range of that narrator is out of control, but it's a perfect example. And that actually segues into something else that it makes me think of something else. A couple things that I have tried to practice that. One is listening to an actual play that I really like and admire, and listening, like, listen with your DM ears on. Like, don't just listen as a listener enjoying it, which you can do, but listen like you're studying what they're doing. Look inside what that DM is doing, what's behind the decisions they're making, and how they're saying what they're saying. Some DMs, you can really tell when they start reading what they have already prepared and when they're not. And so I find that when I listen to someone that I admire, I'll pause it and I'll repeat. I'll say what they said and see how that feels to say it that way. If they do even more, if they blast through something without giving it any personality, I might pause, slow it down, and say the same thing, but this time I'm going to say it my way. So there's different ways that you can just practice without putting yourself on the spot or in the spotlight. Another thing, this is going to be very dorky, but I'm telling you, I've done it and it helps. Because when you're in the improv imaginary environment of narrating what's happening, you're doing it really, really on the spot as it's happening. And so to get used to that feeling, I narrate what I'm doing just straight up. I'll be in the shower and I'll be like, you reach up and you grab the shampoo, you shake it. Oh, maybe 1 or 2 uses left. Like that kind of thing to practice giving life to the world with your voice, because the world I'm living has life, even in the most mundane things. That has helped me a lot with narrating mundane things within the game.
It's when you start kicking indoors and then doing theme music when you enter where the line needs to be drawn. But
I always narrate when I kick indoors in real life.
Okay. So anytime when you're with a group of people, and this happens on occasion, it's not often, but when like 2 people will go to open 2 doors, like, we'll both get the door, and then they open both of the doors. Yeah. I stride through those things like I am the most important person that has ever lived.
I can see that so clearly in my mind's eye.
And they're just like, what are you doing? I'm like, why did you both open the door?
And how bewildered they look as you just blithely pass through. Yeah. I love that so much.
One of the other things, and I think you're getting really close to it. Don't let the table be the first time you say words. Mm-hmm. But like the idea that, because I remember, the other thing I remember is someone tipping me off to the Dritz books. But I remember struggling so hard, just even reading those books. And like, what do these words mean? What would they even sound like in my mouth? Like, just everything about those. Yeah. And the table cannot be the first place that I say some of these things. Is it the Rakshasa? I don't know what my first run at that really was, but it can't be at the table when I'm trying to say that that's the monster that they're going to face. Yep. Because we all know the second you make that mistake, that's it. You're locked in, and the players are going to think that's the funniest thing you've ever done. And then that's what they're going to call it forever. So it's best to work through some of that. Or if there is like a really important description, to read it out loud. Does it say, if you've written it, does it sound, because that's another thing, is that especially if it's your own writing, and I'll say this as much of myself as probably most people, your brain has a tendency to fix those problems. Like whatever gaps are in your writing, your brain will often kind of fill those in because it knows what you meant. It knows, oh yeah, you missed that. I got you. Don't worry. But when you go to read it out loud, you're not going to go ahead and fill those in because you're reading the words that are right in front of you. And you often will find those different pieces. If you have someone that you can talk to, which is also difficult because the DM spot is often lonely because the people you want to talk to are often your players.
Yeah.
Who you don't get to talk to. Yeah. So find a friend, phone a friend. It doesn't matter. They don't need to know about D&D. You just need to tell them your weird D&D story, and see if it sounds okay. But yeah, like I said, some of the more important pieces of your story, work through them, see what they sound like before saying them at the table.
Yes, absolutely. And then I think the last thought I have is more words isn't better. You know, especially, and not just because your players will want to dive in and start talking the moment you take a breath. So you must be brief to prevent that. It's not necessarily going to add as much as you think it will. So I try to paint a picture in as few words as possible when I'm setting a scene or describing an action, unless I'm really actively inspired. In which case, when that happens, it's pretty clear to the table that I'm cooking. I'm not grasping for a lot of details in a room that aren't necessarily relevant to the players. I'm giving them more of a stronger initial feeling, something very succinct, and we'll flesh it out after that as necessary.
A funny example of that, I don't know if I could find it, but you could probably search it up and find where someone is using AI or like directly using ChatGPT to like be the DM. And like, that is what ChatGPT cannot stop itself from doing, is just going way over the top for everything. It's like, okay, well then I look over in the corner as you slowly pan over across the cobblestone floor into the darkness that is the corner. It's just like,
exactly.
What? No,
exactly that.
I just want to look in the corner.
Yeah.
The corner, you say? The darkness as deep as that in your own soul? No, just let me roll. And it was everything. And it was like, no, I just wanted to I just want to play the game.
I've never heard of that, having ChatGPT be your DM.
Yeah. I mean, there are large language models, real weird. And that's what they do. They're like, oh, I know what you want. You want a huge flowery description every time. And it's like, no, I didn't. I didn't
Actually,
want that.
Sorry, no.
And that's to say neither do your players.
They need, yeah, very, very much. They have enough to focus on. They don't need to be bogged down in the details when they can barely find the main clue. How did you find your voice, DM Neal?
I think one of the biggest things about my voice is, so over time, like I've recognized, like why does my humor work? And there's a term called A to C. And so I'm really good at A to C. And so I can jump ahead. So instead of going A to B to C, I can do A to C. And realizing that can have a lot of benefit when it comes to the D&D stuff, where it's like, okay, I can see that they're going to want this. Well, if I can move 2 steps ahead of that, then I can keep that process going no matter who's at my table. And so like, that's one of the benefits that I've found in my personal voice is you could probably drop me in with anybody and I can make the game work. I can make the game work with no prep. I can make the game work with a lot of prep. So like, I think like my improvisational style is probably one of the biggest things that I've focused on over time, just because it works in most settings. Now, actual voice is just humor. It really is. But it just boils down to like, I want people to have a good time. I like as much as possible, but
I would say you have a very smiling voice.
Yeah. And I've also recognized that the intrinsic benefit of that is when I choose to not feel that way, it hits hard.
Yeah.
And that's really, really fun.
Ooh, I bet it is.
So if there's a darker moment or there's something like that, it's like, whoa, why is he talking this way now? Just because it's been
Dad's angry.
Yeah, it's been fun the whole time, but it's not fun anymore.
Oh no.
So yeah, but for the most part, it is like high adventure, like a lot of fun. But if it does need to turn, it does need to turn, because I've definitely ran a lot darker campaigns and settings and stuff like that. But it's not what I want. It really isn't. No, I don't like running those. I'd rather run so one of my favorite things to run is called the Dadlands. It's a 2-page RPG by the McElroys.
Okay, yeah.
It's the Hunt for the Lost Remote.
I actually just saw them live earlier this year in Anaheim.
Yeah, the setting is a post-apocalyptic world where the only survivors are dads.
Brendan Lee Mulligan DM'd it.
Yeah. So I run that I'll run another session of it at a small convention called a Catacon. I run it every year.
Oh, it's fantastic. That's awesome.
And so then I'll pick one of it, but I'll always let everyone pick whatever they want. And one of my favorite people ever, first year I ever ran it, he was like, I was like, okay, so you're so-and-so. Okay, what kind of dad are you? Okay. Writing it all down. He's like, oh yeah, I'm a rocking dad. I was like, oh yeah, I was like, what do you play? He's like, I make rocking chairs. I don't know why everyone gets it wrong every time. I was like, he gets it. Oh, he gets it.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I find that at least in the campaign that I'm running right now, I am the straight man, as I think is typically the DM's role.
Yeah.
So, I set the over serious tone, and then I let them just goof and poop all over it.
Yes. Having listened, yes. You have to.
You have to. That is the
I'm saying you specifically have to, based on listening to the podcast. You have to.
I had no choice.
Just for your own sanity in post-production, you have to.
I must.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think one of the important things is for a person trying to find their voice. One of there's two things about it is one is finding what your voice means for the table that you're at, because it doesn't have to be the same voice for every table, in the sense that am I running Call of Cthulhu? I can't use, as you've kind of coined it, that smiling voice can work to some degree, but I'm going to need to twist it a lot in the sense that I can use it, but it needs to be a lot different. It can work for a lot of other settings, but what does it mean for each table that I'm at? And then does it develop more? And now I can take those tools to the next table that I'm at, or the next session, or so on and so forth. But I think taking that time after the fact to say what felt good about what I did in this last session, and what felt bad about what I did with my voice in the last session.
Yeah. To actually give yourself some notes and pay attention to it.
So we can round out to some homework. So I'll start with you, because I have a really interesting one that you made me think of. So for our homework section, as always, it is what can we read? What can we watch? What can we do to kind of develop, at this point, our own DM voice?
Yes. So I have listed a couple in what I think is an order from easiest to most difficult, based on what my own experience so far. So the easiest is to, like we already said, just remember that you're setting the tone for your campaign and you're in control of that. So put more emotion into your voice when you're narrating stuff. Take a beat. What does it mean? Express that. That, I think, is the easiest thing to do, but it's something that you can really only practice at the table in a performing environment.
I want to rate these because that sounded funny to me, and we're gonna rate them out of 1 to 5 vocal cords, because it was the only rating system that came to mind.
Fantastic. All right.
Okay. So how many was that?
Emotion in your voice, 1 to 5. What is the scale? Is this easy to hard, or is it good tip to bad tip?
No. Oh gosh, I wouldn't do that. How dare you? So easy.
All right.
Easy as
easy
one.
To hard.
Yeah.
Easy as one. All right. So I think the one vocal cord is to just be expressive. Be expressive. Get out of your head. One thing you can do is what you already covered. If you have block text, rehearse it in advance. Treat it like you're performing it. Bonus points for eye contact with your players while you're reading something that was already written. So practice in advance if you have something prepared. That's number 2, which is maybe also one vocal card.
Can I 2A?
Yeah.
Let's 2A.
2A.
Rewrite it in your voice.
Even better.
Take box text. What would you say? Don't read it. Or read it and then figure out what you would say. It's what I do with almost every bit of box text. If it is a quote from a character, sure. I'm probably not going to change it if it's in quotation marks. If it is not, in fact, in quotation marks, it is going to be what I would say.
Yes.
It is what is my version of what is in the box.
Yes. Yes. The best way to put it in your voice is to put it in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love that. The next thing, what would you say that is?
Well,
One?
I made it. Well, I made it 2, but okay.
You made it 2.
Yeah.
You made it 2. Okay.
Yeah.
I still think it's pretty easy though.
Yeah.
That's a pretty easy thing to do. When you're at the table and you are improvising, slow down. Like this is something that is different from actual improv, which is that you can take a beat to formulate the scene in your mind or the piece of action in your mind before you speak it. You don't have to say it right away or really fast. And I can remember the exact moment that I noticed that this was something that I could do that wouldn't hurt my table if I tried it. I like to paint miniatures. It's been a while since I've done that, but this is a couple years ago. I was listening to some Dimension 20, because I'm looking at the mini, and several times over the course of the campaign, it would go quiet. So much so that I'd be like, did the video stop? And I'd look up and Brennan's just thinking. And that's it. And I was like, oh, it doesn't have to be slam, 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 slam every moment filled with words. If the players aren't talking, you have to be talking. You can take a moment to think. So give yourself that. Remember that you have that space.
Yeah. Critical Role is the same. Like it's 4 hours, but it's not 4 hours jam-packed of nonstop talking. It's 4 hours of a back and forth of or bits of side conversation and all those things, but it is not, in fact, 4 hours straight of talking.
Yes. That's also something that's different with a podcast versus just playing in real life. Like with our show, I do edit out a lot of those pauses. I do. But I take them when we're playing so that I can do a better job. I don't want to have to go back and wish I had done it better or different. So I take the time at the table. So that's one. What do you think of that?
I think that's harder. That's definitely
you think that's harder?
That's harder because you get in those moments and you feel like, am I slowing this down? Or like, especially if it's combat, or is it a scene? And if it's slow and no one's talking, is it that no one's having a good time? Like, because the second you slow down, that's giving you more time to be in your own head about it. And so like, I think that's why slowing down initially, when you start trying to do it, it will be very difficult. But
that
I think once you get used to it, then it just becomes part of the process. This is a funny analogy. Once you get used to something, your players are also getting used to something. Again, harkening back to my time in IT. I was in charge of a server, and every Tuesday at 9 a.m., we turned it off for maintenance, regardless of if we had to do maintenance, because when we did need to do maintenance, everyone was prepared for it to be down at Tuesday at 9 a.m.
That's so smart. The thing that makes...
Every time, no matter what.
Yeah.
And if it was that we had none, we would leave it off for the prescribed amount of time of 1 hour.
Brilliant.
And then it would turn it right back on at 10 a.m. And if it was like we had something else, we'd send out a notice like, oh, hey, today's maintenance is running a little long. It'll be up at 10:30.
It's great. That's exactly, I would love to be trained that way. That's just, it makes it easy. You don't have to think about it. The other thing that I think of is when I was learning an instrument, or when you're learning an instrument, they say, go slow to go fast. You get a really fast piece of music. You want to like blaze through it and be really amazing because you know it's fast. So you're playing it fast. But the truth is you slow it down to a quarter speed and then half speed. And then, you get really good at it, and then you can go fast. And that's relevant because I don't pause as much as I used to, because I find that because I did take that time and I've become more comfortable allowing my mind to relax, it comes a little more easily now. And so now I'll only pause if I start to notice that I'm starting to get a little frenetic. Then I'll take a breath. They do something. They click the lock, whatever. I make a show of thinking so they know something's coming. And then you say it.
I like it. What are we going to give it? How many?
Well, one's really, really hard. The last thing I'm going to say is really, really hard. So that one, you said it was harder than I thought it was. So you want to give that a 3?
Oh, yeah. That's a 3. Yeah.
That's a 3? All right. Another thing, and this is like a manifestation of my pet peeves, but I think what sets apart good DMs and great DMs when they're pretty skilled for me when I'm listening to them is their ability to be bold and commit to their own description, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of hedging, verbal pauses. And I'm not talking about just and which are bad. Don't do those. But figure out how to think quietly and don't lean so heavily on extended ums and ahs. But the thing that really grinds my gears is when they say kinda like. You kind of like pick up the cup and you kind of like turn it over and you kind of like put it down, and then he sort of like picks up the coat and he kind of puts it on, and it's like, you didn't need any of those. And it's such a better description if you just decide he picks up the cup, he puts it on the table, and he puts his coat on and leaves. Commit. I feel that there's an uncertainty behind those words. You're buying yourself time to think, or I'm not totally sure if I have the psychology of why we do it nailed down, but it always takes me out of the story when the DM can't decide definitively what's happening.
Yeah, for me, it didn't put me in. So like when you did both of those, I wasn't in on the first one. Like I didn't see it. And
right.
There's a varying degree. Everyone falls on a spectrum of how much do they see in their mind and how much do they not.
Yes.
From 0 to like it's vivid, like a vivid picture in their mind.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm pretty much in the middle of that. But for me, the first time you did it, it was almost nothing was coming to mind.
Almost nothing. Yes.
Yeah. And then the second time you did it, I was like, oh yeah. They did the thing and then they left. I could almost see the person leaving.
Yes. And that's exactly it. It's almost, it's introducing noise into the description. When you say that there's a material difference in perception when you say it's fall, he fell over and he sort of like fell over. Because sort of like leaves a lot of room for interpretation, and you don't want that. Your part needs to be as clear as possible. It's really, really tough to root those out, but if you can, overnight your narrations will improve. I recently found one within myself, actually, that I am now endeavoring to eradicate. That is, they recover quickly. I noticed it's a crutch phrase that I say too much to segue into you hit an enemy and they're about to hit you right away. I don't like it. It's not descriptive. It gives nothing. So I've identified that, and I will now be paying attention and finding a better way to communicate that.
So the podcast helped me with mine because I have to A, listen to myself, and B, other people listen to me all the time too. So mine was, and I think it comes from being less secure about like just doing the interviewing and things of that nature. And I don't know, is it larger guests or just in general? Am I having an off day? I can't think of the last time I've done it, but it was something to the effect of like, do you know what I mean? And so it's like this insecurity of like, I'm constantly trying to check in with the other person.
Yes.
But it's the same thing. And so then it's like, do you know what I mean? And then, but it would get so bad that it was one word that was practically no word at all. Because I was so used to, it was just bad. It was bad. It was so bad.
Did you just shorten it too?
Yeah. Yeah. And it would get also cut out of the podcast more often than not. So, but that one got brought up to me and then I recognized it. I saw it for what it was, and then I don't do it.
And then you just stop it. But you have to notice it first. And so for anybody listening right now, I'm telling you, you say sort of, you say kind of, you say like, you say whatever you say. Notice it now. Describe it. What do you think of that one?
I think that's going to be super hard for multiple reasons. So that's definitely in the 4 to 5 range. But it's so true because you're describing something that has nothing tangible about it. I'm not describing something that, I mean, to some degree, maybe. I have truly ridiculous amounts of quality and quantity of terrain, but that's not a thing that everybody has. And nor does it encompass everything that I want to say or do or feel or anything. So like, sure, to some degree it can cover that ground, but not completely. So the idea of kind of like when you say they kind of fell over, what does that mean? Like, did they fall over? Did they stumble? Did they trip? Are they still up? Are they not? I think they were, but the other person doesn't.
Yeah.
And so now we have to deal with that. And so then I was like, well, wait, so I get advantage because they're prone? Wait,
right.
What do you mean they're prone? And then you have to deal with that.
Sure. It's not clear.
Yeah. Being more authoritative about certain things, I think is very important, but it's definitely going to fall into the 4 to 5.
Well, then you're going to hate this one. Well, you won't. Your listeners will, which is the prime number one best thing you can do.
Uh-oh.
Record yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Record your game and listen back and cringe through it until you have become the DM you want to be, because that's not easy. It's so hard. It's so hard to do it first.
Yeah.
Your voice doesn't sound the way you think it sounds. You didn't say things the way you thought you said them. And it can be a tough pill to swallow at first, but it's the single thing that has made me improved my experience most quickly.
Yeah, every single person on the face of this planet. Nah, that's not true. Somebody out there hears their voice and it sounds the way it sounds to them. Sure. They are very, very few. Yeah. For the most part, the reason you don't hear it the same is because it's echoing inside your head when you say things. And when it comes from outside, it does not do that. So your voice sounds different when you hear it from a different source. And I'm fine with it. Obviously you are. We have a lot of experience listening to our own voice.
Now I am. Yeah. I was not at first.
Do you remember the first time you heard your own voice?
Yeah.
Okay. I still remember when I heard my own voice for the first time. It was that impactful.
Wow. Yeah.
Cause it's so jarring when you don't know that, like, wait, hold on. Is this just what everyone is hearing the whole time?
Is this what I sound like?
Oh no.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
This is it.
No, for sure. And I still, when just living my life, I don't use my DM voice. So if I get caught on someone else's, like if they're shooting a video on their iPhone and I hear my own voice, I'm just like, no. I can't take it. But everybody has, at this point recorded a voicemail greeting, right? And probably heard themselves in some form that they didn't recognize. But yeah, that's in terms of the quality of your voice and the quality of your performance when you're running the game, both of those things can be most easily practiced and evaluated if you have the guts to listen to what it already sounds like and go from there. Mm-hmm. And it's very motivating. Very motivating to improve, to listen to your sessions and realize you're not yet the DM you wish you were.
I've done it. I mean, I've listened to other people's to help and critique those.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. I mean, being in this role, that's a thing I've done for others, like just to listen. Like I said, it's a lonely role because, again, like the most often the people that you would want to talk to about it are the people you don't get to talk to about it because they're in the game. First, how that is. Do you agree with me that that's the hardest one? Oh, way harder than the rest of them.
Yeah,
you have to sit there and go through it all again and critique yourself.
Yeah. It's rough. You know what isn't out there, at least that I haven't found. So maybe you can correct me if you know this. Would love a review podcast or YouTube channel or something that reviews actual play podcasts the way film reviews. Oh, there's an abundance of film reviews out there. I would love to hear, and I don't mean there's plenty of people covering the top 10 or whatever. I mean, like across the board, a different podcast every week that they actually listen to and then talk about it at like a podcast critic. I wish that was the thing.
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I mean,
why isn't there?
That's funny. I like it.
Of all the niches.
Like a Siskel and Ebert, but for like for actual plays.
Like a pop culture happy hour.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
For D&D podcasts or actual plays of any kind.
Yeah.
Mothership, what have you. Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Production value, things like that. Story.
Yes. Totally. Yeah. Maybe it's too big of a lift, because you got to do a lot of homework. But there's book podcasts all over the place. And book is a lot more homework than listening to a couple episodes of a podcast.
Way more.
Way more. Yeah. Right?
Oh, Most Improved? Like listen to the first episode and then listen to
and then the last? Mm-hmm. Also good. Yeah. I think we'd be a contender.
Yeah, we could do it.
Yeah.
Did we just start a podcast?
Actually, we could. Is this the beginning of our podcast?
I mean, this is super easy. I would do it all day. I mean,
And then there's the video genre and audio only genre. I mean, it's just a rich niche. What are we doing with our lives?
Yeah. We could be watching a bunch of actual plays.
We could be trailblazing by reviewing other people's hard work.
Yes. So I'm trying to think of which one of these I want to add onto, or if it gets to be its own. One of the things that I've been trying to like pin down of like what you can do is like trying to find one of the most, this is hard. I'm trying to find the words. Think of the most authoritative spot in your life. What is the voice you use when you're there? Is it that you're at work? Is it a certain like family dynamic? Is it a place you go and just the interaction that you have? Is it a customer service scenario where you know exactly what you're about and every time you go in, you order the same way, this, and you get it done. But in most other aspects, you're like, you're reserved, you're introverted, but that pad tie is going to be right every single time. Because you whatever it is, I guarantee you there's at least one spot where you lay it down. You are super authoritative about what you're doing. Figure out what that is and figure out what that voice is and figure out why. Why are you doing it? And that's not going to be easy. That's not it might be fun depending on what your answer is. But like just find where you feel the most authoritative and lean into why that is and see if you can leverage that back towards being a DM.
Yeah, you got me thinking about that in my own life. Where am I most authoritative?
So one of the things, and I've brought it up a lot on the podcast. I have not brought it up in this way. I'm far enough removed that it will be fine. I have not always had the best working environment. We will frame it that way. And oftentimes in meetings, things would be brought up.
Is it Derek?
No. I don't work with Derek. I don't.
Kidding.
I think we'd be fine. There were certain people, and I assume many people have worked with individuals like this, where they would try to blindside others by bringing up things in meetings, so in a public forum, to try and make the other individual look as if they do not know what is going on. Oh. I, however, am not that person because I have been doing DMing and improv, and I told you what my voice is, improv and everything like that. Just because you didn't ask me before now doesn't mean I didn't have the answer. It simply means that you just hadn't asked me until now. At which point, I will give you the answer in front of our entire department and then make you look like the person that was being rude. But what I realized in those moments is that everything about those business meetings are the same as being at the table. And I brought this up before where it's like, is this person, not being as attentive? Does this person feel like they're not getting the spotlight for certain reasons? Can I call on them to re-engage them? Or do they, in that realm, do they not even need to be here at this time? Is so-and-so taking too much of the spotlight? How can I turn that down? And then am I losing control? How do I re-engage? How do I step forward and take take back over this meeting? How do I take back control of this? Is there a person that's going too far? Do I need, and that's more of a con game thing. I mean, hopefully you're not dealing with direct conflict at your home table. Woo, I hope not. But I deal with it. I've always dealt with that more at con games because you have unknown personalities engaging with each other. And it happens more often. But like, am I needing to step in that regard? And so like, it was in those moments where I was like, that's just DMing at a professional level.
It really is.
Yeah. So that's where I realized like, oh, that authoritative voice at work totally it goes back and forth to the DM table.
Yeah. Your homework is DM your life. DM your whole life. DM your job. DM your friends.
Am I gonna complete this Excel spreadsheet? Let's find out. Nope.
No. Yes, but it won't be very good.
Dear boss, the dice decide.
Absolutely. Roll the one, wiped my server. Yeah. Sorry.
Why'd you get fired? Oh, what a story.
Roll the one, am I right?
Yeah. Oh, happens the best.
Been there.
So, to close this out, where can people go on this World Wide Web to keep track of everything you're doing?
Oh my gosh, we are at ISTD Pod on all platforms. We have a YouTube channel where you can see our faces. But if you're not interested in our faces, we're everywhere in audio only form. And we have a Patreon too, where we have one tier, $5, and you get an additional after show hosted the lovely Ryan Keeley, which is just so much fun, chaotic fun. It's really great. So hope to see some of you guys over there because it's a really good time.
Perfect. And I have little doubt that, maybe we started a podcast, and maybe the other thing, but we can't talk about it.
Then the other thing that no one gets to know, I'm so excited.
We just want to thank Jess again for coming on, spending some time with us, talking about how she's been finding her voice and how we can all help find our voices even more. Of course, if you want to email us and tell us about tips and tricks about how you've been finding your DM voice, you can always email us at dungeonmasterblock@gmail.com. And of course, if you head over to Apple Podcast or your podcatcher of choice, you can always leave us a rating and review. And if you head over to social media, we should be found at DMS_block. That's at DMs block or Dungeon Masters block, and we should pop up. And of course, the Dungeon Masters Block is a proud member of the Block Party Podcast Network, where you can check out other shows like Bad Venture Club, Dungeons and Dragons and Daughters, and more. But as always, thank you for listening to the Dungeon Masters Block, the place where we come to talk about the Dungeon Master, the most important person in the game, the only person capable of playing gods, killing characters, and lowering the ego scores of everyone else at the table. I'm DM Neal. Good night and good luck.
It's not inspiration, it's not wisdom, and it's bad advice.
If you can't find your own voice, just use a voice modulator, like when they do when they interview people that don't want to be heard. It'll be fine.
Goodbye.